I know. I love it. Look at the leaves. They're so green and, just luscious. And so there. Honorable Gustav.
Good evening and welcome to Medical Mondays with Dr. O. On behalf of the team, I want to wish you a happy new year, full of excitement, good health, enlargement, increasing in everything that you do. Above all, wish you great health and a great future. This evening, we continue our discussion on hydroponics, and Dr. Marsha Gillum will be having a discussion with us. Remember that this is not establishing a doctor-patient relationship with you, but rather giving you the relevant facts to help you make a better choice for life health-wise. Medical Mondays with Dr. Who is on the YouTube channel, so you can catch up with all the previous editions of Medical Mondays with Dr. O. Now let me introduce Dr. O, or Dr. Tony Opesameche is HIV specialist, CEO and medical director of Janassaret Medical Center. Dr. O, you're welcome.
Thank you so very much. Yes, HIV is one of the hearts aware. I treat addictions also, and I'm a family practitioner in Maryland. So tonight, we are starting the year with a bang. We're starting the year with our own naturopathic doctor, Dr. Marcia Gillum, who was born in Chicago, Illinois. Raised with an understanding of health and nutrition, she started her journey as a teenager with an insatiable hunger for all things concerning health. In her pursuits, she has studied and practiced many health-promoting modalities, including iridology, nutritional counseling, counseling on health-promoting herbs and herbal preparations. To complement her practice, Dr. Gillum has extensive knowledge about anatomy and physiology, having certifications and practice in Bowen and craniosacral therapies. Her educational background includes a BA in chemistry, MA in education, and a certification as a naturopathic doctor. Her health practice has taken her across the borders, conducting health and wellness workshops in the Philippines, Belize, Jamaica. I was a recipient and a partaker in one of those in Ghana a few weeks ago. Currently, Dr. Marsha is using her expertise to consult, counsel, and collaborate on health issues and lifestyle transitions. And if you were here last week, you know that we were blessed with core knowledge of what we are eating. So today, Dr. Gillum is going to continue where she left off last week to now teach us how to take our health into our hands by teaching us how to grow our own food, vegetables, fruits, what have you. So I give you Dr. Marsha Gillum.
Good evening, everyone from across the globe, local and across the globe. You're welcome, and I am happy to be here this evening to share some more information and to partake in discussion about organic and conventional fruits and vegetables, and how to grow your own organic fruits and vegetables indoors, because I know in many parts of the country in the United States, it's winter. And I found out the hard way that it's also winter here in California. When I got back from Ghana, it was in the 40s, and I didn't bring a coat. So having spent a month in Ghana, it was quite a transition for me to come back to California to this cold and rain. So I just wanted to also add, as Dr. O was sharing my bio, it was really my dad that started me on my journey toward, studying about herbs and health and fasting. He was a long time smoker, and he decided to quit smoking. When he quit smoking, he went on a 17-day fast, just drinking water, lemon, and honey, and never picked up a cigarette again after that, after going through the 17-day cleanse with this lemon and honey. So that kind of started my interest. And then he started making his own apple cider vinegar. This was way back, I'm not going to tell my age, but this was way back in the day. So he was making fresh juice, apple juice, and he was making all types of juices. And then, so he also started a journey at that time toward recovering his health and becoming more healthy in his eating. So that started my own journey with studying about herbs and using the Back to Eden book. I think that's the first book that a lot of people use when they start on their transition from conventional lifestyle to a more plant-based or healthy lifestyle. So that's kind of something I want to add to let you know that it was actually my dad that started me on my journey toward a healthy lifestyle. So today we're going to talk about hydroponic gardening. And if you were here last week, we talked about organic versus conventional. Today we're also going to talk about organic as well as conventional growing methods, as well as organic versus heirloom seeds, because now a lot of the big companies own the seeds, and it's very difficult to get heirloom or organic seeds. In fact, some farmers are prohibited from saving their seeds from season to season. So because of that, because of the large companies like Monsanto, they are prohibiting farmers from using any other seeds besides the ones that they hybridize and that they're able to use on their farms. So that's why it's important to, when you do start your own gardening, to save your seeds from season to season, because many times it's difficult to find organic. Okay, let's see if I get this to work. Come on. Doesn't want to, oh, there we go. So what is hydroponic gardening? So hydroponic gardening is a form of gardening, both indoors and outdoors. There are some people that do hydroponic gardening or aqua gardening outdoors. But for me, most of my hydroponics are done on the inside, and I just have a conventional garden outside. So it's a form of gardening where you use no soil, but you grow your plants in a solution of water and nutrients. So we're going to talk about the types of nutrients that you need to grow indoors. So these are actually sweet potato seeds. So I planted some sweet potato yesterday outside. Okay, so the type of nutrients that most fertilizers that you see in the stores, you'll see these letters N, P, and K. So N tells you what percentage of the fertilizer is nitrogen. The P tells you how much phosphorus, and the K tells you how much potassium is in the nutrients that you're buying or the fertilizer that you're buying. But some of it is just that. And so that's why many of our fruits and vegetables are depleted of minerals that we need to support our bodies, because they put these artificial fertilizers in, and they don't give you the trace minerals that our bodies need and that our plants need to grow to give us the nutrients for our bodies. So, they neglect to do that, because if you give it so much nitrogen, you're going to get nice, big, fluffy fruit and nice, big, pretty blossoms and strong roots, but then the nutrients in them aren't that good. So total nutrients contain the main three, those are the main three, but they're also micronutrients that we need in our soil and when we're growing indoors, in order for us to have the complete nutritional value in our foods. And I was going to, let me go back for a second to the previous page. So as far as nutrients, now if you can buy liquid nutrients or you can buy the powdered nutrients, I myself prefer the powder or the dry nutrients, and then you just mix your own based on whatever the formula, the nutrients that you buy. And I have a website that I'm going to show you that's on eBay that sells the nutrients that you can purchase for your, and when you buy the kits, the good thing about buying the kits is that the kits have some of the nutrients in it. It also has all the little baskets that go in it. It has everything there. So you won't have to buy nutrients right away. But if you're starting from scratch, like I kind of had to start from scratch when I came back from Ghana because all of my plants were dead. So I'm starting from scratch like everybody else online. So you can start your garden, hydroponic garden from, and I prefer organic or heirloom seeds. So the difference between organic and heirloom is the organic seeds come from plants that were grown organically, and heirloom seeds are seeds that can be traced back to their origin. So they're passed down from generation to generation. So I have some heirloom seeds from tomatoes that I grew last year. So I save my seeds from year to year and just replant them the following year. So I have okra and tomatoes and peppers and all those seeds that I saved from squash and watermelon that I've saved from the previous years. But you can also start your garden from cuttings or seedlings. So I'm going to show you a little bit of both. Some of the cuttings we kind of borrowed from Ghana, the peppermint and the basil that we kind of borrowed from Ghana, brought with us from Ghana, and I put them in the garden. And then also I have some plants that I'm rescuing from the cold outside that I've taken cuttings of. So I'm going to do a little, let's see, I'm going to see if I can move my computer and put my computer so that you can see. So we're going to do both high tech and low tech here. So this is my high tech. See if I can move it in front of me. This is my high tech hydro garden. See if you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, good. So I don't know if I should, maybe I should move the light up so they're not, there we go. So the good thing about the high tech is everything's included. So you have the little seed pods, and these are some greens that I found volunteering in my garden this morning or yesterday. So I pulled them up and I put them in the garden. And then this is the same thing. These are greens that I kind of pulled up from my garden yesterday, and I put them in the pods. So the pods come with, when you buy your kit, it comes with these little sponges, and it comes with these that go down to the holes of the garden. Oops, inside. And this little guy, is one a leaf that came from the peppermint that we borrowed from Ghana, the peppermint plant that we got from Ghana. So I just stuck it in here to see if it would make it. And this is a tomatoes. My tomatoes were dying back, so I decided to see if I took some cuttings, if I could rescue it and grow them inside. So that's what this is. This is tomatoes. So hopefully it'll survive. I cut it yesterday, and it seemed like it's perking up and doing better. So it's better. And this is Dr. O, the peppermint that we cut from the backyard behind the house in Ghana. So I just took it, and I have these little squares and these little baskets. So you're going to see several different types of containers. So this is a water bottle, and this is what I'm growing the peppermint in. Water bottles seem to work best because they're a perfect fit for the little baskets. This is one, a pineapple top that I started from the pineapple I've been using to make my sobolo every morning. So I just took the top off, took the bottom leaves off, and stuck it in the basket and then some water. Now, I'm showing you these different, types of containers because the type of containers you use is only up to your own imagination. Like water bottles, that these normally get thrown in the trash because they're not recyclable. So I use these and cut the top off and put the little basket inside. And these are good for growing greens. And then there's shoe boxes that you can put several of the little baskets in. In fact, I was going to show you how. I use my trusty knife and just cut a hole in the top, big enough to put the basket in. And this will hold maybe eight plants. And I use a X-Acto knife. You can cut holes in the top, put your baskets in, and then fill it with water, and then put your plants in here. So you can grow lots of lettuce in one of these shoe boxes, or herbs if you decide you want to plant herbs. So these are some of my seeds: red bell pepper, okra, Crenshaw melons, green bell peppers, Anaheim peppers. These all came from my garden. Bitter melon, that came from the store. Bitter melon, but I thought I'd try it this year to grow the bitter melon. Some pumpkin and honeydew. And so these are all seeds I don't have to buy because I know they're organic because I grew them in my own yard. So I know they're organic. I was looking for, what did I bring? Oh, so these are, when you buy the kit, it comes with these little sponges. And so you just wet them, put your hole in the top, like if I want to have some sage. So I think I'll put a little sage in this one. So are there any questions so far? I see questions in the chat box.
Yes, there is one from Moses Ademola. He says, good evening, everyone. How do we save seeds pre-season for planting?
Okay, so what you have to do is once you, like my tomatoes, once I cut my tomatoes, I scoop some of the seeds and then I lay them out on a plate or a paper towel and allow them to dry. And then I just put them in a paper envelope because the paper envelope, they'll stay dry and you won't have to worry about them getting damp. So you just save them until the next growing season. Or if you're growing like this tomato, hopefully it'll survive. If this one survives, then
kindly mute your phone, please. Thank you.
So you can just like lay them out and dry them, and you can save them from season to season and put them in a paper envelope. Just kind of the way they come when you buy them from the store, they come in a paper envelope so that the paper envelope keeps them from getting damp. So like my melons, well, watermelon, of course, I always buy seeded watermelons. I don't buy seedless. I'll eat it if someone gives it to me, but I don't buy seedless watermelons. I'll save the seeds and then I'll dry them and then put them in an envelope for the following year. Good question. So equipment. So as you see, equipment is up to your own imagination. So you can always buy the hydroponic kit with it that has everything with it, like my Aero garden here, or you can use whatever bottles. I looked under my cabinet and I saw so many water bottles. You know, every place you go, they give you a water bottle, or you get these glass water bottles that have a large top on them. But even if they don't have the large top, these black baskets, you can cut them and then squeeze them and make them fit into the smaller tops, or you can use the little ones that come with the Hydro garden, the Aero garden. So even the smaller ones I use, like this one, would be cute for some herbs. And it's just a glass bottle. So the important thing to remember though, when you're using the bottles, is your roots have to be dark. So you can use either, I mean, I've used everything. Contact paper. I've used a paper bag to cover it just to make sure the roots are dark, because what will happen if the roots aren't dark is you'll start growing algae on the inside of the container. So that's why the roots have to be dark. And that also puts the plant in the mind of that it's outdoors, where normally the roots grow down and then the green part grows up. So if the roots are dark, if the bottom is dark, then the roots will grow down into the container. And it also controls algae growth. So this is a cute little herb, would be a cute little herb container. So I made a trip to the Goodwill the other day, and you could find all kind of containers. So just whatever your imagination, water bottles, the plastic water bottles, especially the ones that are opaque, where they don't recycle them because they're 100% orange juice or 100% juice. They don't recycle those. So they end up going into the recycle waste outside instead of having greens growing out of them. So plastic jugs, trays like this one. This one, I think I'll grow some herbs in here because I have some sage. I also have a little package of basil, and I also have some lettuce. So that's what I'm going to use this little one for.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you start? You know, you have all of the seeds and that you got from your garden. So they're organic. Where do we get that first set from? We can keep saving them, but the first ones.
Yeah, most of the time, if you go to mostly your local gardening stores, a lot of them will have more organics, but even some of the larger like box stores like Home Depot and Lowe's and those kind of stores carry the organic seeds. But I kind of like to go to the local gardening stores because I like to support the local businesses. So I'll go to the local stores and I'll buy like some of the things I may not have. Like I like the little leaf lettuce, and I have this one, but that's the only one I have right now. And then greens, I have some seeds from the greens. So I'll use those to plant some more greens and kale. So this is what it looks like. The little pods, little pods. And inside the pods are little seeds for the greens or kale. So so even some of the, like I found even some of the 99-cent stores and Dollar Trees are starting to carry organic seeds. So they're pretty plentiful. If you can't find heirloom, then organic is the next best thing.
So what about the baskets? You know, I've been blessed. I said it last week. My children got me a hydroponic set that's so intimidating.
Right.
I get to the cover, I take it off, and I'm scared.
Well, we'll have to do a Zoom and set it up for you.
Thank you, because it seems to have so many moving parts. But you know, for the other things, you know, I love the idea of using your bottles and stuff like that. But what about that basket? Where do you get
Okay.
that
So
from?
when these baskets I ordered, oops, on eBay, and you can also get them on Amazon. But I also I had sent you a little text in the chat box because about 3 years ago I started a business that I've never done, have never sold anything on it. It's called Gladiator Gardens. And so since we were going to do this today, I went to my website and figured out how to use it because I'd never used it, had never been able to buy anything on it. I've gotten emails from people saying, I'm trying to buy stuff on your store and I can't do it. So this past week, I went on the website and I figured out how to use it, figured out what was wrong, why people couldn't buy things online. I'm telling you, I've had it set up for 3 years since 2018, have never sold anything on it, but I kept it up, I kept it active. So now I understand why I kept it active, because now more people are getting into the hydroponics and gardening and wanting to set up their own garden. And so what I did was I went out to my website and I put some of these things like the baskets and the sponges and the little glass, they call them stones, that I put inside these little stone things. I put them on my website. So if you're interested, if you can't find it on other like Amazon, I think Amazon has it, or eBay, you can go to my website and I made sure I put them on there, and I will send out when I send out my PowerPoint, I'll also put a coupon on there for you to buy something on the website for the Medical Monday people.
Can you post the website before this is over?
Yeah, I put it on my resource page.
Okay, great. Because I would rather buy from your website and know what you're showing. I know for sure I'm getting what I need to get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what on eBay I'm going to find. So I'm interested in that website.
Okay. Well, only thing I did not find that to put on my website was the dry nutrients, because I prefer the dry nutrients. And so I did put a link to an eBay site on my resource page for those who want to buy the nutrients. I'm not really, all the nutrients I saw that were liquid were kind of, it's green. Why is it green? No. And I'm not sure about those. So I've been using the same, and the dry last a long time. I've had the same bag of 4 pounds of nutrients since I started doing hydroponic gardening, because you only use a teaspoon for a gallon of water. So the one that I will show you, let me okay, this eBay seller. I'll take you to the site. So this is the one. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the link is on the resource page, and he sells it. Has all your nutrients, and on the first package it has all your micronutrients. So you just put like a teaspoon and a quarter in a gallon of water. So this 2 pounds will make 150 gallons of nutrients. So that's enough to swim in. Because the one that I bought from when I first started doing hydroponics, I don't think he's on eBay anymore. So this is the one that I did find that is reasonable, and the components I agree with, and the next time I have to buy it, I'll buy from him. So I put the link on my resource page.
Thank you. So we have some questions.
Okay.
One from Andrea Harrison says, I'm sorry I joined late, but would you speak about the baskets you're referencing?
Oh, these are.
I'm a delegate.
Yeah, so these are the ones that go into the bigger containers that you can buy And then there are the small ones that come with your kits. If you buy the hydroponic kit, it comes with these little baskets that fit in the little holes on the top of the kit.
Thank you very much. Moshe Sademolak comes up with another question. How do we recognize the right season for all the different plants?
Well, the good thing about hydroponics is you can grow out of season because you're getting the nutrients for your plants. Because I grow tomato, you can grow tomatoes all year round, and usually tomatoes are done by now. But you can grow tomatoes all year round as long as you're providing them the right amount of nutrients and the right amount of light and the space. And you can grow a lot in this small space. You can grow a lot of vegetables. And the only thing you have to remember is, like, some people that are growing for commercial purposes, they have the light on all night. Whereas plants are like us, they need rest too. So my light is scheduled to come on about 8 in the morning and it goes off in the evening. So around a little bit, maybe a couple of hours after sunset, then the light goes off. So they're not like us burning the midnight oil, trying to go through photosynthesis in the middle of the night when they're normally asleep or resting. So that's the good thing about this one. Or if you have a grow light or using a grow light instead of using this system, then you make sure to turn the light off at night so that it's not going through photosynthesis all night long.
I think you addressed the next question from Clem Banks, but I have a follow-up on this, like transition from, let's say, the spring, if you plant outdoor and now you want to move it to the water base. Is this something that you have to do something peculiar, like maybe pruning some of the plants, or you can just plug it from the soil and put it in the water?
Well, when you take it from the soil, like some of these plants, the ones that I told you, these are greens. I took them from the soil. So I made sure that I washed the roots thoroughly. In fact, I sprayed a little peroxide on the roots because there are organisms that grow in the soil that you may not want in your in your indoor garden. So you have to make sure that the roots are thoroughly washed. So it may be better, and some of these I took from cuttings, so it may be better just to do cloning, like you said, and from cuttings, as opposed to uprooting them and then taking the chance that you have other organisms growing inside that you don't want to grow inside. So cuttings may be better. This is my experimental plant. This is a tomato that I cut from the backyard. So we're going to see how it does.
Thank you very much. Susan Osifade says, thank you very much, but how often do we change the water in the containers? Can we add the nutrients to the plants planted outside?
Oh, you can, yes. They are for indoor and outdoor. But from the ones indoors, you should change your nutrients maybe once a month. You can change the nutrients in it. And that's why I like the small containers, and then because you're not actually using as much nutrients as you would if you put them in larger containers. But once they get big, like this is a tree that I started from a seed. It's soursop that I started from a seed. So once it gets big, like now, if you look at the roots are pretty long. And the water, you have to make sure that this top part of the root is not in the water, because those are your oxygen roots. So once it starts getting really big and getting a lot of roots on it, then I'll put it into a larger container.
And do you have to change the water as well?
Oh, yes, I do. I change it maybe once a month or once every 2 months, because it's going to use up the nutrients that are in the water. So once every 2 months should be sufficient to freshen up the water. And if you see algae growing, like this one, even though it's a little opaque, really should be darker. So I probably will cover it with some duct tape is my best friend. So I use duct tape to on my pots, or like this one, I covered it with duct tape. And you can get pretty colorful duct tape if instead of like my basic silver.
What about something like foil? Will foil do the same thing?
Oh yeah, you could use foil, just as long as the roots are dark. So I may do either. That's a good idea, Dr. O.
Thank you. I'm learning.
Yeah, you can use aluminum foil, and that would keep the roots dark. And you can crunch it so you don't have to tape it.
And a question from Dr. and Dr. J. Thanks so much, Dr. Gillum, for such a great heart to teach us this practical, productive way of eating what we grow. To all, I say happy 2022. Let's start with the seed. What happens if a supposed good seed doesn't germinate? How do we get good or organic seeds? And then what are determinate and indeterminate seeds? So there are 3 in 1.
Okay, so the first question was about the seed.
Yes, what if those supposedly good seeds do not germinate? What happens?
Well, I really haven't had that problem yet, but I guess I would take it back to the store if I bought them. I would take them back to the store because, and you have to check the dates because the dates have, the seeds have a date on them. Like these, this lettuce, it tells you to, I may have torn it off, but they do have dates on the back of the seeds to tell you what the best time to plant them, or the year that they were, like this is heirloom. So these are passed down from generation to generation. So the heirloom, you kind of know that they're good seeds because you know the origins of the seeds because they've been passed down from plant to the plant. And I was able to save some heirloom tomato seeds from last year because I grew heirloom tomatoes last year. But the good seeds are either heirloom or organic. If they don't germinate, I mean, not all seeds are going to germinate. That's why when you plant, you put 2 or 3 or 4 in the container. And then if they all germinate, then you pull it out and then separate them into separate containers. Once they get like 2 inches tall, then you can separate them. The second question was,
how do we get good or organic seeds?
Well, you can buy them, and then once you start producing your fruit, you can save your seeds from the previous year, which is what I do. I save all my seeds from the previous year. But I started out buying them. And like lettuce and that kind of thing, you're going to need to keep purchasing lettuce because you don't want them to go to seed. Because once they go to seed, that's those little pods that I showed you, then they produce, unless you do want to have the seeds from them, the little pods, once they go to seed, this is what it produces. Oops, this way. This is what they produce, little pods. And that's going to have your seeds. So you can have, if you want to have your own seeds, you can let some of your lettuce and leafy vegetables go to seed and then have some to eat.
And then the third one is, what are determinate and indeterminate seeds?
Well, I've heard that terminology for tomatoes, because indeterminate is they're going to grow. Like I've had tomatoes that grew up to the top of my storage room in the backyard. Determinate is they only grow a certain height. Like I have blueberries, and the blueberries, they only grow like, there's some that only grow maybe 2 feet tall. And then there's others that are more like a vine and they'll grow taller. So the determinate, indeterminate, and indeterminate tells you if it's going to grow. If you have a amount of space that you're a limited amount of space, you may not want to put indeterminate vegetables in your small space, because you'll have may have to like put up string and attach it to the top of the ceiling so that your tomatoes can grow to the top. But yeah, so you want to get the determinant tomato seeds, and it would say so on the back of the package.
Thank you very much. I have one from Opeyemi Adewule. Kindly explain again how you replenish or regulate the nutrients. That's the NPK, nitrogen, potassium.
Okay, so I buy the nutrients already mixed. So the site that I have on the reference page, the nutrients are already in 3 packages. So you have one that has the nitrogen and potassium, and the other one has the calcium. And well, actually the first one has all of your micronutrients also, but it also has your magnesium from magnesium sulfate or Epsom salt. So you just mix a little bit of each one into a gallon of water, and then that's what you use. Because you want a general mix of nutrients, and unless you want, like, I don't care if it's like super sized tomatoes or anything. It's just as long as they grow. So some people want huge tomatoes, and no, I don't need that. Just regular sized tomatoes will work for me. So you might add a little bit more nitrogen if you want super sized tomatoes, or if you're planting flowers, then you're going to use a little bit more of another nutrient if you're doing flowers.
Okay, so there's a hand raised in the chat. Tino Kinshola, if you're still there, please unmute and ask.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. I've had my electronic hand raised for a while, and then I put it down.
Sorry about that.
Wasn't sure. Yeah, thank you. Wasn't sure if we have to just put our questions in the chat or not, but thank you for calling me. So, Dr. Gillum, thank you so much for having this planting and farming 101 with us. It's really appreciated, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ho. I've been following everything you've been discussing, especially some of the questions I wanted to ask has been asked, but there are some minute things that I believe people have not asked, because the hydroponic kit, I'm not sure if you told us where to get them, and then where we get them. Once we have them, where is the position that we have to put all these plants that we are beginning, from scratch? Which position do we put them in the house? Because I have some plants that I kind of like use different types of containers, like you're showing us also, around the house. And once I tend to always put it in front of my kitchen window, which is only just has some strength, and I can't put a lot there. So I want to know that. That is the second one. And then the third thing is that I have some of my pots and herbs on the deck that I planted last year. Of course, now it's cold, and of course today it snowed. So my tomatoes and everything else are gone. So how can I revitalize those and probably to bring them in, or just some questions regarding that? And I don't see you using soil in any of the containers. So that is kind of interesting to me. Please.
Yes,
Thank you.
The hydroponics, you only use water and nutrients. So the things that you have put outside, if they got too cold, then you may have to wait till spring.
Yes.
You can kind of, and I know because I have herbs too, and all of my herbs have died back, and it's not as cold here as it is on the East Coast, but it doesn't freeze. So they'll come back in the spring, like my oregano and peppermint and those things. They will come back in the spring. So you may want to just move your pots closer to the house.
Okay.
So that the soil doesn't freeze, or wrap the bottoms of the pot so that the soil doesn't freeze. Because if the roots freeze, then they're not gonna revive. But
Okay.
so I don't know how long it's been cold there, but
Oh, it snowed today. So
first time.
yes.
Oh, okay. Well, it may not be too late. Just wrap them or put a layer of cocoa or hay over them so that they can to insulate them against the cold. Because as long as the roots don't freeze, then most of your herbs will come back in the spring. Your tomatoes are a little more iffy. I've had some that have revived in the spring because they're close to my storage house in the back of my behind my house. Because they're close, they don't get as cold. And then I also try to go out in the fall when they start to die off. I go out and I put hay over the soil so the soil doesn't freeze if we do have a freeze. But I've had tomatoes are kind of iffy. So I've had some come back, and I've had some that no, they were just like, we're done. So but but the good thing about tomatoes is they are very prolific. So you can plant them as soon as it starts to get warm in the spring, and by summer, because they like heat, as well as peppers like heat.
Yes.
I still have a few peppers left, and I still have peppers of the really hot ones. They're still growing, but we haven't had a freeze yet. So because I'm in California.
Thank you.
You're
welcome. Marsha, she has some other questions. The first one was where to buy the Adroponic set.
Okay, so you can go on my reference page. If you go to click on the link, that's a link to the website Gladiator Gardens. And there are several on that page, depending on how big or how much space you want. And as far as placement, like because I have this with the light already on it, I have a table and I place my other plants around the hydro garden. That way they get light when the other plants are getting light. But I also have plants in my front window because I get a lot of light in the front window. And then I have my orchids on the side because my office gets lots of light. And it was interesting that the drought that my orchids went through while I was gone, some of them started to bloom, and my violets started to bloom. I guess the drought. They said we better hurry up and reproduce because we're on death's door.
Yeah.
So I noticed that my orchids are getting ready to bloom, and my violets started to bloom after I got back home and put some water on them. There's a lesson in that somewhere.
Thank you.
Through the drought, we grow stronger, right?
Can you pull the slideshow out so that we can get a better view of you and the plants? Great. Fantastic. Okay. So we have you.
Okay, good.
I guess you answered the third question. Where in the house? Close to where there's light, right?
Yeah, where there's light, or if you don't really have a light spot, then you might want to get a grow light. A grow light can be like, I have lamps that I've purchased that I don't use, and you can just put a little grow light in there and to keep your plants warm, and they'll like it throughout the day, and then turn them off at night. I do. Some from Eugenia. I think they are safe. You just have to make sure that the outside, that you put the part that you put the bulb in is for that purpose.
So the question is, do you think grow lights are safe?
Yes. So the part that you put the light in, the bulb in, it has to be specifically for that purpose. because some people try to use a grow light and it's not, the lamp is not designed for that purpose. So it's not shielded. So the grow lamps are shielded and they're designed for your plants.
So does the grow lights come with their shield? Or
Yes.
they come with their shield? Okay.
Yes.
So as long as you use the shield, they come in, then one should be fine.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you very much. Tawa asked, do the whole root has to be submerged or just part of it?
Okay, so once the root gets a certain length, like this one, this is my tree, the soursop. So the top of it, too much water. The top of it should be no water touching it. Just the bottom part would be in the water. This one has a little bit too much water, but because it's like when you water a plant that's in soil and you keep the soil wet, then you drown the oxygen roots, which are the roots that are near the top. So you want to make sure that when you water your plants, the water goes all the way through and not have the roots sitting in water because they'll drown. So the same thing when you're doing hydroponics, you leave the top like maybe half an inch of roots not submerged in water.
Thank you so
Can
much.
you say that again? You leave
Like the top half inch of roots near the
Yeah.
top of the root system. About the top 1/2 should not be submerged in water because that's how the plant gets oxygen through the roots, is from the top, those top roots. The bottom can be submerged in water, but the top shouldn't, the very top shouldn't.
So you're saying that part of the root should be exposed to light?
Not light, but not submerged in water.
Water. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So there's a question in the chat box about nutrients, that how do you replenish them? Or when should you, is it when you change the water once or twice a month that you?
Yes, once a month you should replenish, put new nutrients into the water.
So I have a question. Can you make your own nutrients? Because I know you make everything. You cooked everything. You made everything for us in Ghana. I woke up once, only one time before you did. And, the kitchen is always, streaming with Zobo, and all of that when we get up. And everything you make yourself, even your own vitamin C, can we make our own nutrients?
Oh, yes, you can. It's just a matter of buying all the components and putting all the components together. Yes, you can. But I suggest to start out to buy the mix. And then as you become more proficient in your growing, then venture into making your own nutrients. Because you can buy all the components and then mix it together. But I would suggest start out by using the mix.
Thank you so much.
Question. Honorable Gustav, I think there's.
Yes, and Eugenia George, could you transplant outdoor in the spring?
You could, yes. Yes, you could transplant it into the soil in the spring. It may be a little shock to the plant because you're changing its environment. It's like, when you transplant any plant, even indoors, from one pot to another, it could go into shock. Like my poor tomato here it's a little in shock. Some of the leaves are drying up, but I think it'll survive because I cut it off from the main plant and stuck it in the water. So I think it'll survive, but it did kind of go limp and went into shock a little bit. But yeah, you can go from indoors to outdoors in the spring.
That's a great idea because I like pawpaw, but I think the spring is too short for me. By the time my pawpaw comes up, then the weather starts getting cold and then I lose it. So maybe the right or good idea is to get it indoor.
Start them in the spring.
Yes, and then
Start in the winter and then
put it
plant
out.
them outside in the spring.
There's a question from Susan Osefade. Will the soursop tree grow fully in the house?
Will what grow in the sour?
The
Oh, the
tree that you just
soursop?
showed us.
Oh, well, it's just starting. It's about, I'd say it's about 2 months old now. So, and that's one that I probably, when it gets too big, will put it outside because it may get too big. I mean, I can put it in a pot because that's how all my trees were before I moved to my house where I am now. Everything was in pots. And then when I moved here, then I started putting things into the ground because I wasn't in a house where I knew I was going to stay in. So everything was in pots. So yes, when it gets too big for this little container, then I'll put it in a pot and then I'll put it outside. And that I'll probably keep it in a pot because it does get cold here. And I know soursop is a tropical tree, so it may not survive the winters here. I want to
Do you have
a bit close, close to the house.
You have an idea how long it would take for the first fruits to come up?
The first roots for the tree?
Yes.
It took it about, I was shocked that it even grew. It was an experiment. It took it about maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And then the little shoots came up and then I saw roots in the bottom. And it was 2. I have another one that's even bigger than that one. I planted them both at the same time and they're both, not the other one is bigger than this one.
All right. So the question is, do you know how long it would take for it to bear fruit when you take it out?
It probably take years because like I said, it's only 2 months old and they don't usually mature until they're like 2 or 3 years old. And so maybe 3 or 4 years they would produce fruit.
Okay. And she also wants to see pictures of your grown plants indoors.
Let's see. What do I have indoors? Like my flowers or vegetables? My poor vegetables. I had greens growing in my hydro garden while I was gone to Ghana. And unfortunately, they didn't get any water while I was gone. So now my greens, I'm having to start over. So that's why
I remember you talking about that a lot in Ghana, that, your plants, your veggies.
Yeah.
Your husband, we did water them.
That's right.
When we were talking to him, none of us mentioned what, you said it one day, watered plants. They didn't get watered.
They didn't get watered. So my greens died. So I'm starting over with the greens, with the little babies that I pulled up from outside. So in about a month or so, they'll be huge because they grow really fast in the garden, in the hydro garden.
So we'll bring you back in like 2 months or so, something like that, and then you can show us more. But we will be showing ours off too then.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Everyone will be, if you have winding stems like beans, they have these things.
Let's read the question. What's the question?
If you have winding stems like beans grow on, they trail. They do have these things that you can put like a trellis that goes behind the hydro garden that you can trellis your beans. Or you get the determinate ones that don't get too tall. They're like on a stalk instead of on a vine.
But for God have questions. I like that. I like that name. But for God said, how do you prevent the shock, or how do you care for the shocked plants? I have had plants that did not survive the shock.
Well, what I did with like if you're like doing this one, like cuttings, then a little honey and water. You dip it in a little honey and water, and that helps them to root before you put them in the nutrients. And this one, because it has all these branches on it, I'm probably going to cut it again and cut it, smaller pieces. But honey and water is a good rooting solution. And then your transition, like this one, I'm shocked that it's doing well so far. Make sure that you put it in water and nutrients right away. And if you have like small cuttings, like this one, this little guy here, you see it has a little tint over it. These little tints also help it to create like a greenhouse effect. And I do have one that I put in my window. It's a cutting from outside. I put a plastic bag over it to create like a little greenhouse.
Thank you so much. Let me just run through a few comments. Dr. and Dr. J says, quality seed is a vital input into crop production. Dr. Ajagbe says, great job, Dr. Gillum. And then there's another one from Famuyiwa. Dr. Famuyiwa says, thank you. Very informative. So it's been a very intriguing chat, interesting one, how you can grow good organic plants and fruits in your own backyard, indoor and outdoor. And we'll be having the chat with Dr. Gillum, Dr. Marsha Gillum. That leads us to our Medical Monday moment.
Thank you so much. What an exciting session. I love planting, so I'm very excited. I used to plant outdoors. It's the only one I know how to do when I was in Texas as a resident. But since I came to Maryland, I had no idea except for the house plants that I have. I didn't know I could actually plant my vegetables. And you know what? If you have the green plants, of course you can do the veggies. But then I did those with soil, and I was using the Magic Grow. We learned last week that that's actually not the way to go. You don't want to use those Magic Grow stuff. It has things that should not be in your food. So I learned something very important. Lots of things we learned last week, but I will not, belabor last week because it's on YouTube. If you missed it, please go to Medical Mondays with Dr. O on YouTube. And, for the new year, I wish everybody again a very happy new year. I don't think I remember to even do that in the beginning. So happy new year to every one of us. And I pray that this year will be a year that will be a healthy one for us in every facet of our lives. At this point, I want to ask Dr. Mike Oye, who is one of my spiritual dads, who is also a naturopathic doctor, and who grows his own herbs, veggies, and everything, both in Nigeria and here, to chime in and give us some wisdom. Sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you now, sir.
This is a great moment. Dr. Marsha, you are wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm happy knowing you. And I believe we are going to do many things together to promote healthy living. This session has been a wonderful one. When you were talking, you brought something up with NPK. NPK has done a lot of evil to mankind, and I want to chip in the importance of the micronutrients. Mm-hmm. One thing I have done over the years in villages and rural communities while teaching in Africa is to show the rural people how to make their own micronutrients. And that is by burning wood and leaves into ashes in the farm, and then using the ashes to fertilize their crops. I showed them how to do it. Either make a ring around the crop and put the ash there. Fortunately, through nature, all the nutrients are there. The micronutrients are there. There will be also a lot of potassium. So as the rains come,
phosphorus.
The micronutrients will dissolve into the soil and the roots will pick the micronutrients up. So wood ash is extremely important as a cheap way of getting the nutrients. Secondly, phosphorus can be obtained naturally without a P from pure chemicals. And you get it from granite dust. Now, in most villages in Africa, granite dust is available from quarries where, machinery will grind granite into powder. So a few cups or a bucket of granite can even fertilize an acre of land. I know we are dealing with hydroponics, but it's important for us to know the natural sources of some of these ingredients. That's all I want to say. I really want to emphasize the micronutrients from wood ash. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
The micronutrients from wood ash can be used outdoors, but indoors, whether we're planting with hydroponics or just in containers with water.
No, you can use the ashes. The ash, you can use the ash.
Yeah, but the ash has potassium. It doesn't have the phosphorus or the nitrogen.
Well, I am emphasizing the micronutrients.
Yes.
You can have your phosphorus. As I said, you can have your phosphorus from
granite dust.
Granite dust. You can add granite dust to the water in the hydroponic garden, and the phosphorus, the phosphates will dissolve gradually into the water. Yeah, what your problem is that you don't want to have any solid inside the water, is it?
No, sir. No. Actually, even if it's soil, we have to put it. No, sir. Getting these substances in the US, we cannot burn woods and leaves. Just like that in the yard. There are areas where we're not allowed to do that. And then how do we get the granite dust? And what components and stuff? Because you said something that the NPK is hazardous to man.
Yeah, no, using that alone, that's what I mean. NPK is still necessary.
Okay. So what do we use?
Using that alone is like what you Orthodox doctors do by extracting one substance from a leaf and curing people by it, which is strange to the body, instead of using the whole leaf. Do you get it?
So basically, that's what farmers have been doing. They use the NPK because Americans are spoiled and they want their vegetables and fruit to look a certain way.
Exactly.
They want huge tomatoes. They want, they don't want a blemish. They don't want anything to happen to their fruits or vegetables. And then because of that, they put these chemicals on the ground, so the vegetables and fruits will look a certain way, but they lack nutrients.
Exactly.
So the NPK is the main nutrients, but then you also have to have your micronutrients.
That's it.
So the farmers have just taken, like you said, the main ingredients from the natural and then left the other stuff because
That is it.
it looks good and the pests won't eat it. So
That is it.
if the pests won't eat it.
If the pest won't eat it, then our bodies will also reject it.
Right.
So I have a question.
Yes.
The nutrients you said we should use in the indoor planting is NPK. So, but you both now and Marsha, you mentioned
it's not just NPK. It contains all the other micronutrients.
Okay. Yeah, she mentioned that.
Yes.
So when we buy that nutrients, it has the micronutrients with it.
Right.
Okay, got you. I got that. So
Yep.
Talking of insects, Auntie Susan Oshifade and I had a chat, I think it was, I don't know, a couple of days ago or yesterday, somewhere there. And she plants and she was talking about how, some bugs, and I can't remember, Auntie, if you can unmute to talk or just put it in the chat box, destroy some of her plants. So I was saying that you said last week that she can plant some things in between her plants that will prevent these insects from destroying the plants. What did you say?
Garlic is one.
Garlic.
And calendula is another one that I plant with marigolds, the flowers, the marigold flowers.
Mm-hmm.
They repel bugs. If you plant lavender also repels bugs. If you plant citronella also repels bugs. If you're worried about rodents, like especially here in California, we have lots of rabbits and stuff like that. I plant, and the cats that come in, like to dig in my garden. I have one that likes to dig in my garden. I plant rue, R-U-E, in the garden, and the cat won't dig in there, and the rats won't go into the garden if you plant rue into the garden.
Fantastic. Thank you.
That's great.
That's quite informative. Oh my word. I thought we were at Medical Mondays moment, but we have the chat full. We have the chat full. So we're going to skim through this really quickly. This question is directly to Dr. Michael. How can I grow bitter leaf in Washington, D.C. metro area? Yes, that's my area.
Oh yeah, you can grow bitter leaf easily, even in Maryland. Yes, you can, and Washington. Actually, I grow it in winter in bottles, and then transfer to outside during the summer. Just cut a piece of it 6 inches long, or 1 foot if you want it, and then get a shallow bottle, fill it with just water, and put the cut piece inside vertically. At the nose, it will begin to sprout, and it will grow. The green leaves will grow. When summer comes or spring, put it outside. If you have a pot, plant it inside the pot. It grows very fast, and you'll be harvesting your leaves and so on. When the fall is coming again, you can cut some pieces from the branches and repeat the thing every year. I have right now some vegetables from this season. So it's as simple as that. Well, I am in a tropical place anyway. I am in Texas, so it's easier. But I've grown it before. I've grown it before in Pennsylvania, which is the same as Maryland or Washington.
Thank you, Dr. Michael. Yeah, there's another one question says, is there any micronutrient in rainwater?
Oh, yes, a lot. A lot of micronutrients in rainwater. In fact, you can use rainwater. You can also use some form of river water, you know. Those are natural ways of getting some things done.
Yeah, it's raining now here, so we're getting lots of rainwater.
Tino Akenshola say, thank you, Dr. Oye, for nutrients from granite. There was a group of professionals about 2 years ago, pre-COVID, that went about instructing potential farmers, particularly those who live in the city, on the importance and possibilities of growing food from granite and gravels.
Correct.
Then Tay Doherty says, thank you, Dr. Oye. Using natural nutrients by burning wood that's using ash is how the farmers grow in Peru to replenish their soil. It actually makes sense.
In fact, the white people came to Africa and told us not to burn bush again, which was wrong. Our traditional farmers knew how to burn wood and trash on the farm and spread the ash, you know, to make things grow better and bear better fruits. And we need to go back to those things. That's how I do my farming anyway.
Well, not only did they tell them not to do it, but they created it in the lab, a fake way to do it. They call
Correct.
it potash.
Yes.
And then sell it back to you.
Exactly. and ruin your health.
Right.
Comment in the chat from Dr. and Dr. J. Sankofa. That means go back to the old ways of doing things.
Yes, going back to the old ways of doing things. I got tons of private chats on charcoal, and so I'm just going to, lay them out really quickly. So you said that, Marcia already discussed about, how to prevent shock when you transfer plants using honey and water. Is there anything else that, or something, else that we can add to that, or that's your experience too?
Well, honey and water. Also, when you cut the plant, make sure it's like a plant is a living object, living thing. So sometimes the plant would go into shock because of the way it was cut. And cut it like right near the joints, or it is, and sharp scissors. Don't hack the poor plant when you cut it.
No, they don't think plants have feelings. They don't know.
Yeah, you have to cut them just like you were going to do surgery. You're going to cut the plant, and with intent that you're saving the plant, not killing the plant. So you use a nice sharp knife or scissors, put it in a little honey and water, and then put it in a nice warm spot. Like some people just cut and then, with the wrong intention, and the plant ends up dying.
So
nurture.
Thank you so much. So some of the questions in my private chat says, how do I obtain pure charcoal? That's the first question. I think Dr. Mike, sir, you were the one who talked about charcoal, I think.
To obtain pure charcoal, you need to cut off oxygen as much as possible. You start the burning with atmospheric oxygen, but then later on, you cover with soil or any substance that will make the thing, not have enough oxygen again. and then the thing will become pure charcoal.
Great. So she also asked, can we soak granite tile in water to obtain the nutrient?
Yes, the phosphates in granite dissolve very slowly. So you have to put the granite dust in water for quite some time. And then the solution that comes out will contain a lot of the phosphates.
For how long, sir?
Oh, a couple of days.
Oh, it's not like months.
No, not at all. Just a couple of days.
Okay. So he also says, somebody asks, is there any micronutrient in rainwater? And the tower asked that.
Yeah, I think we answered that.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I missed that. So another question is, you can burn, she's telling me that I can burn wood and leave in charcoal grill to obtain ashes as needed. When
you can obtain ashes from burning wood, but you can also obtain a lot of charcoal by burning the same wood and covering with, something that will keep away oxygen.
Okay, great. So, Star, she's asking how she can get some of your bitter leaf to grow. So I want to comment on that. Seeds, leaves, and all, we are not under any circumstances supposed to bring them from one country to the other.
Mm-hmm.
But within the United States, I don't know the rules. Can you, for instance, I guess you can, since
I think so. Within the US, you can.
And something, yeah, maybe you can. We need to look into that. And if you please email me, so that we'll look into it to see if, for instance, if Dr. Mike can mail you the bitter leaf and make sure that it is legal to do that, and it will not be transporting insects or, stuff like that from one region to the other.
Yeah.
We'll investigate that.
Yeah, most of the time it's just, it's the soil. Like in Ghana, if you bring plants to or from Ghana, you have to not have any soil.
Yeah, correct.
Because a lot of the pathogens are soil borne. So they don't want you transmitting anything through the soil. Mm-hmm. So you can bring plants to Ghana, you can take plants away as long as there's no soil. Yeah. As long as it's like just the leaves and the stem and maybe the roots, but no soil. Mm-hmm. Yes, you do.
I got another direct, message that says, thank you, Dr. Oye. The Native Americans used to periodically, annually burn the flora after harvest so that the ashes provide nutrition for the next planting season.
Yeah, that is recycling. That is very good.
Okay. So that relates to what you were saying.
You can use the same land for many years by doing that.
And, my sister, Tinu Akinshola, she's an attorney, one of our best attorneys, said, you have to declare the plants you bring from out of the country. So that's important. But what about in country? Like, when somebody's asking to have some of this organic bitter leaf sent to them. For intrastate, the rule may be same as the post office rules. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah. That's correct.
Mm-hmm. The post office will let us know for sure if it's something that can be sent. So thank you so much. Now going back to Miracle Mondays moment. Oh my gosh, this has been, a very educational session. I am so excited to start farming again in the winter in Maryland. And I don't know if you all noticed, Dr. Hannah Ajay has been posting, some hydroponic sets. Can you post some again? They look fabulous, just fantastic. Somebody raised their hand. Sister Tawama, you can unmute and speak before we conclude.
I put something on the chat. Happy New Year to everybody. We're talking about the plants that you can grow that will prevent pests. But there are so many names, I can't catch up with them. Is there a way you can put them on the chat box?
Okay.
I'll either put them in a chat box, or what I'll do is I'll add it to the slides, and then you'll have it when you get the slideshow.
In the email.
Yes, in the email.
Yeah, so some of them quickly that I wrote is garlic, calendula, I don't know what that is.
Calendula.
Calendula. Calendula.
Calendula. Okay, calendula.
That's a form of marigold. It's a form of marigold.
Okay. Marigold flowers.
Marigold.
Lavender. Citronella.
Yeah.
That we use in Ghana. One of our sisters in Ghana, when we go there to hang out in the evening for fresh air with Mama, she would light the citronella underneath coils, underneath the tables. And we didn't get mosquito bites or bug bites or anything. Nice. Citronella and rue, R-U-E, destroys rodents, she said, but you will get it in the email. Dr. Marsha is fantastic with, following up. So you get that. But look at this Hydroponics Pro shelves. Isn't this beautiful? This is what I need. I said, my birthday is gone.
So your birthday's coming?
No, it was November.
Oh.
I can't, look at this. This is a great birthday gift, don't you think?
I would love one of those.
It's beautiful.
I'm telling you. This is fantastic. She
Maybe
put it up.
to supply all of us with one.
I should supply all of you with one. Guess what? Let me tell you what you just did. You just prayed for me. You know that. Amen. And I say amen to that. Because if I can supply you, everyone with this, you know how my purse is then. So amen to that before the end of this year.
My birthday is good.
So, Dr. Marsha, oh my gosh. As I say, we will wait until November. Birthday's next month. Our birthday is next month. Oh my God. The Ankara I bought you from Ghana. We still need to get together for you to get that one. Then we'll talk about February. So, Dr. Marsha, if you please give us your closing remarks, that would be fantastic.
Okay. Well, the thing is, you don't have to start by planting everything at once. A lot of people just want herbs, and they go to the store to buy herbs when you can have them right there in your window or in your living room in a little container. So just start small. Don't let yourself become overwhelmed. If you need help, like I'm going to have a Zoom meeting with Dr. O to set up her hydroponic garden, let me know. Send your questions. I'm happy to answer your questions. So that's my final. Just start where you are. Don't try to, don't become overwhelmed by it. It shouldn't overwhelm you. It should be a joy to plant and then see the produce.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Marsha is very reachable. Email me and she responds like that in a heartbeat. We will bring her back for Marylanders. We bring in Dr. Marsha to Maryland in April. So for Marylanders, and even if you're nearby, you're close by, you want to come and participate, that'll be fantastic. She's going to be, talking to us or, doing workshops on proper diet, as we've talked about, weight, and a lot more.
Cooking.
So we're looking forward to that.
Cooking demos.
Cooking demos, yes. And I've enjoyed her cooking, tasty, but very healthy. You can see my cheeks, coming back from Ghana. You would think I didn't do any work, whereas what? But the food was good too. So thank you so much for all you do, and thank you for empowering us to control what we eat, because we are what we eat. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the session. Again, we did not attempt to establish care. We have disseminated some information. I'm going to hand over to Honorable Gustav.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marsha Gillum, Dr. Michael Ye, Dr. O. We're so grateful. And today we had Dr. Marsha talk to us about how to grow our own food, indoor, outdoor, hydroponic gardening, and we have learned a lot. It's been a grateful insight. Starting the new year with such great message. We thank you all for participating until we come away again, same time next week on Monday. Stay healthy, and we wish you the best of 2022. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. God
Good
bless you.
night.
Happy
Thank
New
you
Year.
so much.
Good night.
Good
Dr.
night.
Marsha, have a good time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr.
Good
Oye,
night.
God bless you.
Thank you.
And
Good night. Thank you.
Sir.
Night.
Good night. Good night. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. It's Kunle Abola.
How are you?
Thank
you.
Wonderful. Have a wonderful year.
You too, sir. You too, sir.
yes, sir, yeah, it gave the input, very educative input on the what people used to do, the planting, the burning. Abisa.
Yeah, the Native Americans.
Yes, the Native Americans.
Dr.
That's
O,
great.
thank you for this.
Yeah.
Dr. Marsha, thank you very much. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're welcome. I like this one too, Dr. O.
Oh.
That would go nice in my living room.
I just want to grow the bitter leaf in DC.
Exactly. I agree with you. That bitter leaf is very important. And
It
please,
is.
So I'll have your contacts. Are you on the Medical Mondays email?
I should be, Dr. O. I think we've met briefly before with the Yoruba Nation.
That's
the first place we came across each other.
Oh, okay. Can you put your email in the chat box to me?
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, just so I'm sure I have it, because we'll find out the legality, and will we get the bitter?
No, we can really do it interstate. There's no problem, because when you go on eBay, you can get whatever you want on eBay, and there's no problem within the US. It's bringing it in from outside US that is the problem, that they need to be, that there are legalities.
Got you.
Don't they have